growing out a cafe chain. How do you do it, and how are we doing it at Pearl Lemon? So, hi guys. I want to bring my cat over. So basically, over the last 40 to 50 days, now it might be coming up to 2 months now. Actually, we opened on the first of we opened on the 4th, the 30th of April. So the 30th of May. No, we've been open like about 5 weeks. I want to talk about ultimately what our plans are. If you're wondering, my cat's just here. My messy flat's just here. So look, we've got Pearl Lemon Boba, we've got Pearl Lemon Cafe, we've got Pearl Lemon Juice, we've got How Matcha, and we've got Plant Sumo. I'm excited about Plant Sumo and How Matcha because their brands are entirely separate to Pearl Lemon. They are brands that I will give away or get others involved in from a share perspective. I think with the Pearl Lemon Group, it's something I plan to keep entirely solo with no one else involved. But talking about the brands and considerations, I want to run through a couple of things. Our approach to growth. So, our approach to growth is building a strong online presence to begin with. Why? Because I run a marketing company and building a strong online presence just makes sense to do in general. That's just the first thing. So, what does that entail? So, that entails building the websites, uh, building 50,000 words per blog whilst we're getting things up and going, working out the service pages for products so we can look at getting them ranked and getting them developed. And doing that and front loading that work. We also need, of course, to have a dedicated social media person, which I've not quite put together now, which I'm in the process of trying to identify, and then we're beginning to develop a process for how we'll launch and open a site. The Matcha Place is new. Hey. As in, it's different because it's already up and running. So there's things to figure out with that site. But, fundamentally, the idea is to grow the food and beverage side of Pearl Lemon and make it bigger than the agency side and it to dwarf the agency side in terms of revenue, the agency side still continues to grow. We generate a bunch of inquiries, but fundamentally we're getting inquiries for events, we're getting inquiries for coffee catering, we're getting inquiries for subscriptions. So there's a lot that's already happening within the actual group, and this is coming from people that have come in, this is coming from online, and there's still clear gaps, as I said. On the social side, we need to really develop a bit of a process, and that's something that just needs to happen fundamentally. So I'd say that there's when you're growing a chain, some of the key considerations are you can upfront ahead of it. If you know where you're going, you can build some of the supporting structures. So that would be looking at the website, looking at the online content, looking at setting up the various social platforms. You can figure out who your suppliers are, and you learn a lot from your first cafe, right? We're already learning. We've already learned absolute tons. We're still learning, from having been open for 50 days, but also from all of the insights from the fact that work is still ongoing, problems with, we've got our plumber coming back today because we made some mistakes with the plumbing that we've done. So now we're trying to basically correct some of that in terms of getting the plumbing concealed. At the moment, it's not concealed, it's out in the open. I'd say that your first cafe is definitely a place to build a prototype. The amount that we've learnt by opening up two cafes, or bubble tea shop and then a cafe and then buying one, is incredible. There's so much that you learn, and the different nuances from utilities, internet, leases, contracts, lawyers, landlords, leaseholders, us. So that section of it, setting up supplier accounts, managing and dealing with your suppliers, understanding what suppliers you need, inventory, stock, as well as, of course, how do you market, how do you increase day-to-day revenue, how do you determine pricing, how do you build recurring customers, how do you hire. There's all of these elements, but there's a lot of things. We're not at the same time reinventing the wheel. it's been done and it's been done well. So I think I'd say that wow, the amount of hair that this cat molts is incredible. I'd say that there's a lot that you can figure out and establish in the first month, 2 months, as we have, and then from there it's about beginning to understand elements of repeatability. Like we're having to do things twice, which is great already because we've got the cafe, we've got the bubble tea shop, and then we're improving upon what's been built in Marleybone and learning. And I'd say that none of it's rocket science. I'd say that aggressively pushing forward is important, and I'd say that having a clear North Star is important. We want to build, I want 50 places in 5 years, is what I've said, and it can be done. The next thing to do is to set up a mobile van, which should be easy enough to do. I want to begin looking at that. If I can put aside 20 grand, then that's probably the way to do it. In fact, that's what I'm going to do, because then we can accelerate the putting together of, yeah, I'm just going into my accounts to basically put aside 20 grand, and that using that as a basically as a means to set aside some cash for getting a mobile coffee van, because that is definitely a way to do it. We've got La Dolce funds. I'm going into my Tide banking right now. I bank with Tide, and I'm going to put aside some income for that. Um, let's see if this is working. So yeah, I'm doing that now. Let's see. So now 111. Now I'm a little bit short for the studio for Daniela, which is also something that's quite important, because I've got 111k there, but I need for her to put together. So my VAT's gone out, which is great. So I've got 12k left in the bank. So the way that I'll now do that is, yeah, so now I've got 12k left in the bank. So I'll put 7,000 in there, because I've just paid my VAT, which is fantastic. So now I put 25k out. I swapped out another 7k. So now I've got yeah, cool. Okay, fantastic. So I've got 5.7k in there. But to be honest with you, so what I've done is I pulled 25k from the funds I'm using for Daniela's Pilates studio. So that left me with a 25k deficit in the Pilates studio. I set that aside for a coffee van, but what I'm gonna do now is send a bit more in there, because 5.7, I can probably put another 2767.998, because that would leave me on exactly what would that leave me on? 3k in the bank. So cool. So then basically, guys, yeah, when you're building a chain, you have to make some quick decisions. You have to be well capitalized. I think that's the important thing. And you can raise money as well. Raising money is something that I've done multiple times. So it really is just a case of figuring out your path to success, if you will, and that will come from your ability to generate an income from somewhere else, or 4, 6, 7, 6, 1, or yeah, generate an income from somewhere else, or raise investment. So I think that that's the way to really think about it. So there you go, folks. There are some rambling insights on how to build a coffee chain. Yeah,